Good morning. Welcome to the November 20th session of our Toastmaster program. Glad to have all of you here in our audience here in the studio as well as our TV audience. And if you have just tuned into this program, keep your dial there. Don't change it because this is going to be an exciting program. We have a full and packed schedule today. We also have a very special guest today. She's a member of the Pioneer Toastmasters in Kentucky, and she has joined us today. And she has also volunteered to be a timer as well as take part in the Tabletopics. Her name is Jian. And we have another special guest, Kitty Hevener, who is going to do a demonstration speech for us. So we do have a packed schedule, and I welcome all of you to our TV Toastmasters. At this time, I would like to call our very special Toastmaster of the day up to the lectern. Her name is Kormelink. So let's welcome Carol, our Toastmaster of the day. Carol.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. And again, welcome to everyone. And I'm excited about our program today because it's going to be so special. I would like to mention on the form, our agenda, the evaluator for Kitty will be Ray Boston, if you will make that one change. Okay, so to start off for today, we will have a little humor for today, and I'd like to introduce Jerome Manigan, who is an advanced Toastmaster Bronze, and he will be giving us our humor for today, and that's 3 minutes, so it'd be at 2, 2.5, and 3.
Thank you, Toastmaster Carol, and to my fellow Toastmasters, I have some jokes that I'm going to share with you. These are termed profession jokes, and they are about lawyers, and I would imagine lawyers get tired of being made fun of. After I have given these jokes, I'm going to ask Verna if she would come up, and she will give the final joke of the morning, and she's going to tell us how to cook a turkey. I think that's appropriate since in a few days we will begin fixing turkey dinner for Thanksgiving. So Verna is going to tell us how to cook a turkey. The lawyer's son wanted to follow in his father's footsteps, so he went to law school. He graduated with honors and then went home to join his father's firm. At the end of his first day at work, he rushed into his father's office and said, "Father, Father, in one day I broke the accident case that you've been working on for 10 years. His father responded, "You idiot. We could live on the funding of that case for another 10 years. If there are any idiots in the room, the teacher asked, will they please stand up? After a long silence, one freshman rose to his feet. Now then, mister, why do you consider yourself an idiot? Inquired the teacher with a sneer. Well, actually I don't, said the student, but I hate to see you standing up there all by yourself. A new client had just come in to see a famous lawyer. Can you tell me how much you charge, said the client. Of course, replied the lawyer. I charge $200 to answer 3 questions. Well, that's a bit steep, isn't it? Yes, it is, said the lawyer. And what's your 3rd question? Verna, would you please come? Thank you so much, Verna. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerome.
Thank you.
For our little wisdom for today. Our next order of business, Joe Swirling will give us a word of the day. We have a new word each meeting so that we can increase our vocabulary. And I would like to welcome Joe Swirling from Fort Thomas, Kentucky, who is an advanced Toastmaster Silver, to give us our word of the day. Let's welcome Joe.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Myself being known as a scavenger and accumulator of everything, one word I'm particularly fond of is the word serendipity. Serendipity is the fortuitous finding of unusual or valuable things. So I encourage everyone to keep an open mind, an open eye, an open ear for anything that can save the loss of valuable resources to fill up landfills, decorate our living accommodations, and if we're lucky, someone might find a Ming dish like was on the news just yesterday. The people were serving potatoes in, and they found out it was worth, I think, $5 million at auction. So hope everyone has a serendipitous discovery of such a valuable dish or other treasure. And during the meeting, I will be noting any instances where I can point out exceptional uses of grammar or words or suggestions for some improvements.
Before you go, Joe, you serendipitously gave us another word of the day. What does fortuitous mean?
Fortuitous is actually quite similar, but being fortunate and accidental, any good fortune that comes to us. In fact, I was mentioning on the way here to a co-writer that inasmuch as, although I don't buy lottery tickets very often, last night I had a dream that I had won a lottery ticket, and it wasn't the first one I was winning, that I recalled having won several smaller ones before. So if I had a dream that I've won 4 lotteries, I better go ahead and buy a ticket, because it just might be a sign. If I don't, I'll wait another couple of years before I buy another one.
Okay, thank you, Joe. You may have a fortuitous event happen since you bought your ticket. One of the parts of our meeting is to learn to speak, to listen intently, think quickly, and speak effectively on a moment's notice. And we have what we call table topics. That is, you have 2 minutes to answer a question that is not of your choosing. So you have to listen to make sure you got the question right, and then you have a moment to think, and when you come to lectern, as soon as you start, we will let you know when 1 minute has elapsed, and when 1.5 minutes has elapsed, and 2 minutes. And to our Toastmaster, the table topics, the topic master for today is Verna Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Sorry for that. All right, our table topics today. This is a variety of table topics. It does not follow a particular theme, so just listen carefully. Rocky is the story of one man's battle to overcome insurmountable odds. What is the greatest barrier you have ever had to overcome? Ray Boston. Let's welcome Ray Boston.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. The greatest barrier I have ever had to overcome was when I was a very young child. I tended to be very shy. I wore very plain clothes. I wasn't ostentatious and, for instance, wore colorful things like I'm wearing today. I always tended to wear gray and very muted tones because, again, I was shy. That was a barrier to me even as I entered kindergarten. I would be the one, the teacher didn't have to send me to the corner because I would sit in the corner all by my very self. And as I went through junior high school, I tended to be very shy, stay to myself. I guess I would be a loner. But strangely enough, I guess I was fortuitous, and there was a bit of serendipity because one day I had a substitute teacher that was a magician. And he came and he showed the kids some wonderful tricks. So we were always very proud. I remember his name was Mr. Fish. And somehow he got me interested in the subject of magic, and I began to blossom. I began to talk. I began to wear more colorful clothes to have my personality bloom. And today, I have actually become a professional magician. This happens to be my brochure. I call my company Functional Magic, and I use my hobby of magic, which has turned into at least a semi-professional, to demonstrate various subjects, and we're going to see a demonstration speech, as a matter of fact, today. But through the hobby of magic, I've learned how to talk and to be forthcoming, to be outgoing, and to sort of improve my personality and turn it into a business. So I would say that that was a very serendipitous situation for me.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you. Excellent job. Okay. Imagine that a UFO whisks you off to another galaxy. You're asked to explain the human race to the extraterrestrials' leader. What do you say? Tian Hua.
Thank you, Madam Topic Master. If I'm on a UFO to terrestrial space and to explain the human race, I would say human race is a wonderful race. We are all kind people. We are the most beautiful living species, not only on the face of Earth, but also anywhere. We are beautiful from inside and outside. We eat grains and meat, and we speak languages. We have gestures. We have communities. And we care about each other. We have honesty, integrity. We're hardworking. We have open mind. We like to communicate, not only among ourselves, and we would love to communicate with other living creatures in the universe. And we welcome all the visitors to come visit us and to see the whole human race. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Very nice. All right, now, I want our next speaker to explain to his boss why he came to the board meeting wearing pajamas under his suit. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. Being a procrastinator as I am, and being my boss, you're aware that I've always been procrastinating on getting in my expense reports and some other activities, but I postpone those things that only affect my personal lives so that I can devote full time to my job. I make sure I get my reports in. So little things that most people worry about, like their taxes and expense reports, if it's not job related, I give my full effort to doing my job. Well, wasting time changing clothes is something I'm doing at home. The most important thing, and surely you want me to be on the job, so it's more important that I be on the job doing what I do, even if I am in pajamas. And since I have more orange pajamas than I have orange suits, I feel much better working in orange, so I perform better on the job. So regardless of what I'm wearing, unless you want me to wear a tie with my pajamas, I think anything where I get my job done should be satisfactory. Topic Master.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you. All right. One of the world's most recognizable movie songs is Somewhere Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz. What do you think is on the other side of the rainbow for you, Carol? Carol, what do you think is on the other side of the rainbow for you?
Madam Tabletopics Master. Well, I just found what I lost. Okay. I was frantic wondering where that was. What do I think is on the other side of the rainbow for me? I've never given that a thought. If you're talking about eternity, I know where I'm going, but I don't know in this life what's on the other side right here for me. I know that if you do your best and take a positive attitude, things will work out. And if you've done your best, you don't have to be sad that you didn't accomplish what you had if you are trying to do your best. But as far as what's on the other side of the rainbow, I like the colors of the rainbow, and if you want to remember the colors, I have an easy acronym. It's Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And those are the colors of the rainbow. And that's how my wardrobe, my closet is very well organized. And I have my white clothes, then my red, the Roy G. Biv, followed by the black clothes. So I don't have to go all through my closet trying to find my orange blouse. I just go Roy G. Biv, and there it is. It's the hanger's empty if it's in the laundry, and I don't have to search all over. So that is my over the rainbow. I'm not a very good answer, but that's it. So, Madam Topic Master.
Thank you, Carol. Carol, I am impressed. I had no idea that you were that well organized, and I don't know why I didn't think that, because you were so well organized with all your Toastmaster activities and papers. So I am impressed. I'm going to have to come and visit your closet sometime and see how you do this. Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn the lectern back to our Toastmaster. So we're going to welcome Carol Kormelink back to the lectern. Carol.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. We are in for a special treat today. We have a guest. Kitty Hevener is with the Pioneer Club, and you're not with Pioneer? Toast and Talk and World Champions. I knew you were in two. Toast and Talk is downtown, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And she is going to be giving us a special treat today. Catherine, we call her Kitty, Hevener is a disability consultant with 20 years experience designing and implementing customized programs to address the unique needs of people who are blind and or visually impaired, as well as those who want to interact with them. She has authored and published numerous articles on adaptive technology for consumers and professionals alike. In her free time, Catherine enjoys swimming, kayaking, reading, and using her skills as a licensed amateur radio operator to provide health and safety communication for various charity and civic events, as well as natural disasters. Kitty is going to be speaking to us today from the advanced manual, Speaking to Inform, and she will be giving speech number 3. The objectives of Kitty's speech are to prepare a demonstration speech to clearly explain a process, product, or activity, and conduct the demonstration as part of a speech delivered without notes. And the time is 5 to 7 minutes. 10 to 12, oh, okay, I'm looking at a different book, sorry. The time is 10 to 12 minutes. Let us welcome Kitty Hevener, interacting with people who are blind or visually impaired. Kitty Hevener, interacting with people who are blind or visually impaired. Let's give a warm welcome to Kitty Hevener. And we do have ballots if you'll give her a word of encouragement after her speech.
They're everywhere. In the bar, in the grocery stores, in the workplace, on the streets. Does that sound like any of you? Are you all on the streets, ever in the bars, ever in the workplace? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought my audience had fallen asleep or were here in their pajamas or something. Like I overslept this morning. Yes, that sounds like you, but Toastmasters, I would like to talk about someone else, another group in our society that fits that description. That group is people who are blind or visually impaired. People, not everybody is totally blind. There are some people who, with corrected vision, might have an acuity of 20/200 or less in the better eye with correction. So the people that have that visual acuity down to people like myself who have no vision at all fall in that range, and that's why we call people blind or visually impaired. People who are visually impaired may also have, rather than the acuity, they may also have a peripheral field degree loss of 5 degrees or less. The reason I'm bringing this topic up is because most people really want to interact with everybody. I believe that in general the human race is a kind race and that we all want to interact with people. But often people who are slightly different from ourselves pose a unique kind of challenge and put us in a quandary. So a lot of times when you want to be helpful, you just don't know how. The purpose of my talk this morning is to actually help you become more comfortable interacting with people who are blind and visually impaired, so that you will be more comfortable and your experiences with this group of people will be more positive and rewarding, and everybody will be more comfortable. So it's a win-win all the way around. Often, one of the first issues that we'll deal with is just how do you interact with someone? When I first come to a Toastmasters meeting, for example, I like to know who's there. Who am I talking to? And I'm going to refer to myself in a lot of these cases, but please understand that that really generalizes on out to the population as a whole. We typically want to know, who are we talking to? So it's really helpful if you say, "Hi Kitty, it's Carol," or "Hi Kitty, it's Ray." Now after we've finished talking to you, it's really helpful to know when you are leaving. I've had many a conversation with walls, and trust me, they just don't have the same impact as a person with a human, as a personal, talking to another person. So let us know when you're leaving, because sometimes we're not seeing you. We may, if it's crowded, I may not even hear that you've walked away, and I'm sitting there carrying on the world's best conversation, telling you that you've won $1 million, and you didn't even know it, because you walked away. Also, talk to us in a normal tone of voice. Unless you know that a person has a hearing impairment, we normally have good hearing just like you, so talk to us in a normal tone of voice. And it's okay to use words like look, watch, see, because we use them every day. Even though technically I don't see anything except this light up here, we use the terminology the same as you. And just a final etiquette point is, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to places and people will have a question about me or about what I'm doing. But instead of asking me or talking to me, who I'm probably the expert, they'll ask my friend. Well, I just had it happen this morning. Someone said, can she step up that step? I had never met the person that I was with, so I don't know how they would know if I could step up that step. But once seeing that step, I decided, no, it's too high. That had nothing to do with my blindness. It actually had to do with personal orthopedic problems I have. But it's always important to talk directly to the person. The classic example, I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get a photo ID made, you know, because if you're going through the airport in many places, you got to have it. The person insisted on talking to my friend. So I said, you know, please talk to me. I'm the one who can best answer your questions, okay? He said yes, and proceeded to talk to my friend. And he finally said, and can she sign her name? I had it, just had it. And I looked at him and I said, I don't know if my friend can sign her name, but I'm really puzzled. Why would you want her name on my picture? I don't understand that. I think he got the message. I think he probably felt like he was about an inch tall at that point. And I realized that that wasn't necessarily good, but I had gone through all the politeness. So it was time to just be direct. So remember, in terms of etiquette tips, talk directly to the person, because that person's the expert. Let us know when you're coming and going, when you're talking to us. Tell us your name. Tell us who you are. And also, by saying something like, hi, Kitty, that lets me know that you're clearly talking to me, not someone else. Because I don't want to interrupt you if you're really talking to the person next to me. Nor do I want to ignore you if you're talking to me and I don't know that you're talking to me. And that's especially true with all these conferences where you have name badges. You will probably see my name, but I will never see your name. So help us out. Okay. Another area where you might find yourself is, let's say that I've come into this Toastmaster meeting and I'm looking for, well, I'm even looking for a place to sit or whatever. A lot of times you may encounter people who look to you like we might need assistance. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to just assume that we need assistance? Or are you going to say, oh my God, I don't want to offend them. I don't want to get involved. Not me. I'm out of here. And run away. And I know that that happens. Or are you going to walk up and say, hi, would you like some assistance? I love it when people do that, because then I have a choice of saying yes and proceeding to tell people what I need and how they can best help. If I don't need assistance, I'll say no thank you, but thank you for asking and thinking. Don't be offended if somebody refuses your assistance, because they may well be able to do the task that to you looks like it's a little awkward or cumbersome. So even if somebody says, if they refuse your offer of assistance one time, please don't take it personally, or don't think that they were being mad or mean to you, because the next person that you meet might very well be depending and hoping and praying that somebody like you comes along. It's okay to ask. Which brings me to the point. Suppose you have asked somebody and they say, yes, I do need assistance. Would you help me across the street? Because I can't really figure out, the traffic patterns at this intersection. And you might find yourself standing there going, oh my God, what have I just gotten myself into? Well, I'm going to show you some techniques that will safely enable you to safely assist the person in a way that is safe and rewarding for all involved. Verna, would you please come forward? No, you were there, I'm sorry.
No, I just
Okay. One of the things that I might also say to you that people often will travel with canes or guide dogs. I happen to have a guide dog down here with me. And guide dogs they do not know when to cross streets. They don't see colors. They rely on us to tell them when to cross the street. So, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this. Sunstar, sit. Good girl. And what we're going to do is I'm going to just have Verna, show me, I'm going to show her how to guide someone. Notice how she's first started out and she's linked up, she's touched my arm. That's important because I don't want to be groping, and I'm sure Verna doesn't want me to be groping or someone else to be groping looking for her. Okay, so when she touches me, I reach back and I grab her arm, and she's going to hold her arm very relaxed, and we could just walk. Is there anywhere up here to walk, or do we need to go down? Okay, so we're just walking up here, and notice that I am slightly behind her. Now, one thing that is common that people will want to do, stop a second, is they'll want to put their arm way out to the side. Put your arm out like that. Okay, now look what that does to me. Go ahead and start trying to walk. Keep your arm out. You see me bumping into potential poles? Okay, whoa, stop. Okay, that puts me way away from Verna, and I also can't really tell what she's doing because we use not only the feel from the elbow, but also kind of your whole body. So that's why it's important for you just to relax your arm, relax your arm, and just walk normally. Now, Verna and I are going to do some tricky things. We're going to go down through a narrow space and also a step. And when she gets to the narrow space, she's going to put her arm behind her back, and I'm going to go a complete step behind her. So just walk till we get to that narrow space. Notice how I'm directly behind her. Now I do know that there's a step here, and she's going to have to start going down that step first because it's narrow. So go ahead. Okay, she stepped off the step. Now she didn't take off right away, but she did leave enough room so that I can step down. And I walk down. And as soon as we come out of that space, she's going to open up her arm, come back out to normal, so that we can then I can be like a half step behind her. Now, a final thing that I'll show you is often you might have to help somebody find a seat. How are you going to do that? We're going to walk. You need to just turn to the chair where I was sitting. And she's going to put my hand on the back of the chair. Just like that. Okay? If you do those things, you will better be able to assist someone. And look, I feel a whole lot more respectful, respected, and I can travel with dignity. Whereas if she just would have like grabbed my waist, which I've had people do, I don't like that. I don't know if you guys would like somebody like grabbing your waist or your hips and trying to seat you. It's really awkward. But the way that Verna and I did this was very graceful and very easy to do. Now, sometimes people will want to be on your, Verna was on my right side. Sometimes people will be on my left side, but since I have my guide dog, and she's only used to working on the left side, then I have to have the person assist me being on my right. But that will vary. So when you are offering somebody assistance, they'll tell you, you know, what you need to do. Or if they don't, you can just ask. It's okay to ask. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this presentation has given you some helpful clues and some helpful ideas for making your interactions with people who are blind and visually impaired, such as myself, more comfortable and rewarding. We really do want to interact just as you want to interact with us.
Take her away yet, or something. Yeah, let's give her a hand here. Kitty, I wanted to ask you. I would like to introduce our next speaker for today. He will be giving a module on the Evaluate to Motivate. When we joined Toastmasters, many of us wondered if we would actually be able to get up in front of an audience and give a speech. Gradually, as we gained experience, we realized that it was possible. Now it was the role of the speech evaluator that troubled us. How could we give an instructive yet encouraging evaluation after hearing the speech only minutes before? Today's presentation, we are going to learn how to give effective speech evaluations that will benefit not only the speaker, but strengthen and improve our club as well. This presentation is part of the Successful Club series, and it's a program on how to plan and conduct quality meetings. Today's presentation will be given by Jerome Manigan, and Jerome, he also works with the Association for the Blind, and he was just awarded the Mosher Award for helping with the blind. And I'm also in contact with Mark Beckman, who reads on radio, and he was telling me what a great voice kid he had. So we're being educated today. And we're also going to be educated on how to conduct quality club meetings by giving effective evaluations. Let us welcome Jerome Manigan. Evaluate to motivate.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kormelink. I became involved with Toastmasters several years ago. I don't know how many years ago, but I'm going to say that it was serendipitous and fortuitous that I became involved. I date my involvement with the hearing of Otis Williams, who that year had been named International Speaker of the Year. So I don't know if that's a decade ago, 15 years ago, however many years ago. But that is how I date my involvement with Toastmasters. Now, why do I tell you that? Well, when I listened to Otis Williams on the radio that afternoon, I realized instinctively, intuitively, that Toastmasters had much to offer. So I went to a club in Norwood, Club 472, and presented myself and became actively involved in that group. I think eventually I became president of that group. And I thoroughly enjoyed every activity that was made available, Tabletopics, Word Master, Joke Master, all of those things, I think, helped me to become the speaker that I am today. But the thing that was most important to me, Toastmaster Carol, Toastmaster Ray, Toastmaster Verna, was the evaluations. I felt that the evaluations were the heart and soul, the meat and the potatoes of the Toastmasters meeting. Why did I feel that way? Well, it is during the evaluations that we learn how effective our presentation was or was not. Ray, do you remember? Come up for a minute, Ray. Do you remember your first evaluation in Toastmasters? You remember your first Toastmasters?
I do remember my first evaluation because, just as you mentioned, I had when I learned how to speak, and I told you about my shyness a little bit, and Toastmasters was another step along that way. And as I learned some of the basic principles of becoming a better Toastmaster, I did find out that there was so much to learn. And part of that learning process and what makes the Toastmaster so great is that they are a very nurturing organization. So they're able to tell you about your mistakes, if you want to put it like that, in such a supportive way that rather than being put off by something that you weren't quite up to par on, you want to come back and improve upon it. So each time that we come to Toastmasters, again, we can say it's sort of serendipitous that no matter how well we do have these expert Toastmasters that can point out sometimes it's just a little thing that can elevate us to the next level. And for the TV audience out there, I would say that's an excellent reason for you to come and maybe join in the Toastmasters. Even if you come to just one meeting, you can learn something. But I almost guarantee you, if you come to one meeting, you'll probably want to come to another, because each and every time you learn something that can help elevate your speech, just in talking to your kids, your family, as well as in the workplace. So I've enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Toastmaster Carol, would you come here, please? Do you remember the very first time you were slated to be an evaluator? What were your thoughts? Did you think you could do it?
No, and that's the worst part of it for me. Actually, evaluation, I didn't think I could do it because I can't think quickly, and I think that if you say you have a weak opening, I think you should give them an example of how they could make that stronger. And I don't always think of those things right off the bat. If someone gets up and they say, well, I didn't know what to talk about today, and I thought I'd tell you why I like baseball. Well, that you could say, man, had you start off with the crack of the bat, he rounds first, he rounds second, he rounds third, it's a home run. Wow, what excitement. That's why I like baseball. I think your speech would have got my interest a little more. I can't think of those things, and I think that you know it's a weak opening, but if you can't give them a way to make it a stronger opening, you really haven't helped them much. And so I get very frustrated because I feel that I know that they needed to do something better, but I don't have an idea that's saying, well, when you were saying about the Model A, if you just bounced up a little bit, showing how the Model A, how you ride it in the Model A, I don't think of those things right away. But I think that's helpful to tell them what was good about the speech. If you say that was a great speech, and you don't tell them why you thought it was good, that the way they use this phrase throughout their speech or whatever, if you aren't telling them why, you're not really giving them a lot of help. But that's not one of my favorite things to do is evaluate because I'm frustrated because I can't do it the way I want to do.
Thank you, Toastmaster Carol. You all right?
Yeah, just step in the hole there.
Toastmaster Carol was talking about a technique called tell and show, and we're going to see that in a few moments on these little overhead transparencies that are not being used as overhead transparencies today. At any rate, evaluations benefit speakers by providing immediate feedback, offering methods for improvement, and 3, building and maintaining self-esteem. Now, I said that Toastmaster Carol just showed us, was talking about what we call the tell and sell approach. That is the most common evaluation method used in Toastmasters clubs. The most obvious advantage of tell and sell is its efficiency. This method assumes that the evaluator's assessment will be on target. New members are usually not scheduled to evaluate until they have given several speeches and are familiar with club procedure. The tell and sell method works best, in fact, when the evaluator has had more speaking experience than the speaker and is considered something of an authority figure. And certainly Toastmaster Carol has been very active and a tremendous contributor to not only this Toastmasters Club, but many Toastmasters clubs, and she would be viewed as a knowledgeable authority figure. She's heard many speeches. How many speeches have you heard, Toastmaster Carol? Thousands. All right, let's talk about evaluating effectively. What is your main objective as evaluator? Obviously, it's to help the speaker. So first and foremost, you need to demonstrate that you are truly interested in both the speech as well as the speaker's ability to grow and improve. Consider the speaker's objectives. Review and discuss the manual objectives and evaluation guidelines, and ask about any concerns regarding the speech or the speaker's speaking abilities. Also, pay attention to the speaker's goals for self-improvement and watch for any symptoms of fear or insecurity. Besides providing an opportunity to offer some words of reassurance, doing so will further prepare you to give a helpful, listener-friendly evaluation by the time of the meeting. And personalize your language. Put yourself in the position of the speaker. Use words that are pleasant to the ear and helpful to the speaker. Don't use terms such as you didn't, you should have, you failed to, but rather use these terms. I believe, my reaction was, I suggest that. Evaluate the speech, not the speaker. While sticks and stones can indeed break people's bones, words are especially capable of hurting or provoking emotional responses from the person who has just given a speech. As evaluator, keep your main purpose in mind: to support, help, and encourage the speaker. Specifically, this means being careful not to impose your value system on someone else's thoughts and opinions. Instead of evaluating the speaker's ideas for quality, your goal is to help that person communicate their ideas in a more effective manner. You should also work to promote self-esteem. As evaluator, you must do your best not to just listen. And of course, if you're going to be an effective, efficient evaluator, you must listen. You must take a few notes. You get up, you present your opinion, then you sit down. But within all of those activities, you keep in mind that it is your task to encourage and inspire the speaker to participate again. At all costs, avoid whitewash. Sometimes in attempting to build positive feelings, we give evaluations which choose only to praise the speaker. This type of evaluation may flatter at first, but over a longer period of time, it tends to demoralize a club. Our purpose is to receive insight from others so we might gradually improve our own speaking performances. Honest evaluations can and should be upbeat and encouraging, while still pointing out areas for improvement. Such evaluations are an integral part of each club session. When preparing to evaluate, remember that an evaluation consisting of nothing but empty compliments and platitudes benefits no one. So resist any impulse, no matter how tempting, to cover up flaws with flattery and save that whitewash for fences and sides of houses. Let's review. Evaluating by the tell and sell approach. When the evaluator talks and the speaker listens. How to evaluate effectively. First, show that you are interested. Before the speech, talk with the speaker about the speech. Talk with the speaker about the manual objectives. Talk with the speaker about the evaluation guidelines. And talk with the speaker about any additional concerns he or she may have. Always in your evaluation, personalize your language. Evaluate the speech, not the speaker, and always, at every cost, promote positive self-esteem so that the speaker will want to participate again and again and again. Thank you very much.
So at this time, I would like to ask Ray Boston to come up and give his evaluation on Kitty Hevener's speech. So let's welcome Ray.
Thank you, Madam Evaluator. First of all, I want to say to Kitty that I really appreciate that speech. I think we all learned something out of it, and that was, again, a very good example of serendipity. If I hadn't come here today, which I almost didn't make it, I would know less than I know now specifically about working with the visual impaired and relating to them and interacting in a more positive fashion. One of the things before I really start, for the TV audience out there, you've heard us talk about evaluations and how important we consider it. And people say, well, boy, I could come and I could never evaluate the person. It would take me a long time to do that. But we all have some help. And as Carol just mentioned, we have these guides. You get a guide with some of the off-the-cuff speeches, or there's guides specifically in the evaluation booklet that all you have to do is sort of check off. Did the person have a nice, effective opening? And it's sort of subjective, so you just simply put down what you think, and you will quickly learn how to do that. So you have some good guidelines. In the particular presentation Kitty did from the Speaking to Inform book, again, it has a very good guide that asks some specific questions that you're going to respond to, so that you have a guide in which to offer some nice comments to help the person to grow. I really liked how Kitty opened up her presentation. She said, "They're everywhere." And that was a good opening, and it immediately made us think, what is she talking about, the aliens that were mentioned a little bit earlier in the presentation? What is she talking about? They're everywhere. But as it turned out, Kitty informed us that sometimes some people that we don't see happen to be the visually impaired. And it should be noted that when she was giving a speech of a demonstration type speech, and it's obvious that we can have a demonstration by showing a model or demonstrating an activity or a process, but we're also demonstrating, we give demonstration speeches all the time, because when we use gestures and vocal variety, as Jerome just so aptly performed for us, that is a type of a demonstration. But of course, she later, when you are talking about a demonstration speech, Kitty later on, as she got into the body of her speech, she did have Verna come up, and also along with the use of the guide dog, and pointed out some techniques and showed us visually. And of course, when you're showing somebody something visually, it has been proven that that helps us to retain the information, get a good grasp on it so that we can see it. Now, she talked about her purpose was to help us to become more comfortable with the visually impaired, and everybody always asks, what's in it for me? And Kitty pointed out that if we do that, the visually impaired person is going to feel more comfortable. They like to be respected. We're going to feel more comfortable in how to interact with them appropriately. And it is a win-win situation for everybody. So you see, by what we learned today, will all help us to be winners. As she got into the body of the speech, Kitty pointed out some things of how we should, what kind of etiquette we should do, such as saying hi to the person, and speaking directly to them, talking in a normal tone of voice. How many times have we seen somebody speak to a blind person and they say, "How are you?" Well, as Kitty pointed out, they're not deaf, they are visually impaired. One thing, Kitty, that I think you might have, as far as the demonstration, you talked about the visual acuity index, and you mentioned the figure 200, and I don't know what the scale is, but you might have even pointed out with your hand, such as normal sighted human beings have a visual impact or a visual acuity index, and you could have said it's about this big, maybe that's 500, and just demonstrate it by spreading your hands. And if your visual acuity is only 50%, then squeeze your hands down some. Or such as myself, I am completely visually impaired. I have no sight whatsoever, except maybe for seeing this bright light that is shining in my face also. So that is a way. Then, of course, she did take us into the demonstration phase, of which she had Verna come up demonstrated how she should hold her hand, what happens when you're walking down a narrow space, exactly how to use the guide dog. She later finished when she responded to Carol's comments by giving some specific techniques on the dog and whether you should talk to them before you get permission, and then it might be okay, and we can see the beauty of the animal and how helpful they are to us as human beings, and particularly if you are visually impaired. So all in all, a very good speech. The speech was very relevant to everyone. The information was helpful, it was needed, it was useful. I thought it was very enlightening. I thought the presentation was smooth, it was non-threatening, it made us want to learn more. And it taught us some important information that many people would be unaware of if not for your presentation. The main demonstration was very educational, and it made good use of the person helping, Verna, as well as the guide dog, and I thought it was very appropriate. The presentation had a good, intriguing opening, it had an informative body, and then it had an effective closing with a good call to action for us to all be more aware and to use those techniques that you taught us. And beyond the demonstration, you used good vocal variety, you used effective gestures, and again, you had the good organization. So I think the demonstration was very appropriate, the subject matter was very appropriate, and I applaud you for helping us to learn more today.
Full house today, two wonderful speakers, and I invite all of you to come back for this is our studio audience as well as our viewing audience. We will be taping again on December the 18th, so I invite all of you to come back for that, and then our next meeting will be January 15th. So again, our sign-up sheet is on the table. Be sure to put your name on that sheet in 2 places at least before you leave here today. And Kitty and Genoa, I hope both of you will come back and visit us again and consider becoming members. You would be an excellent addition to our TV Toastmaster Club.